In the shadow of Mount Fuji, racing returns, echoing across the valley near Oyama, Japan. 16 turns, nearly 5 kilometers of racing circuit wind around here at Fuji International Speedway. After climbing the banks at Daytona at round 5 last month, round number 6 of the MTEC Endurance Series will race for 4 hours with the silhouette of one of the most picturesque mountains on planet Earth. It all starts now on SimTV, and in this penultimate round of the season, 3 of the 4 racing classes have fewer than 20 points delta in their championship hunt. Hi everybody, Kyle Heyer, joined by Connor Horn for today's 4-hour round number 6 of the MTEC Endurance Series. Connor, welcome aboard. In Japan this time, after a month off, we're back racing in the MTEC Endurance Series.
It's going to be a pretty wild race, and a race I'm pretty excited for just because I don't think I've watched a race at Fuji, not even just at iRacing, but at all. So this is going to be pretty fun to watch, I think. Looks like a pretty wide track, but we've seen in practice, as you pointed out to me, it doesn't race that wide, so drivers are going to be fighting for room all race long.
It's a high-velocity circuit. It will take you right out to the edge of the racetrack. It's constructed back in 1965 and actually hosted cycling during the 2020 Summer Olympics, so it's kind of a multi-purpose facility in that sort of sense. Qualifying is underway. There are some teams and drivers that are not able to qualify, about 30 teams across our 4 classes here today as we head down to the racetrack and get things underway for round 6 of the season. Round number 7 will be broadcast on GSRC in a couple months, but for now we're going to head down to the racetrack and get qualifying underway. If you'd like to follow along, live timing and scoring is available at simtvbroadcasting.com. There's Satellite Racing Blue and Paul Darling behind the wheel right now, the number 67, the LMP2 Pro category team and driver paired up with Alex Ellis. But the winners at Daytona was Apex Missers, Frank Smith and Martin Zierveld in the number 9. They are not on track just yet, but they were the winners at Daytona in what was considered a pretty wild ending to that race. A full course yellow late in the going and lots of position swapping up towards the front. It was a blast to watch, but it's going to be crucial to start up front here today with how tricky it can be to pass here. This is a fast circuit with lots of flowing corners, which doesn't necessarily leave you a lot of opportunity to make passes, but if you're looking at the best place to do it, I think be harder to find a better spot than turn number 1.
Yeah, turn 1, you got a huge front straightaway, probably, I forget how long it is, but it is definitely one of the longest I've ever seen, and you're going to have a lot of time to get in the slipstream and get a run on someone into this sort of tight turn number 1, so we're going to see a lot of movement happen into that corner specifically. So Apex Missers, were there for that one. It was a crazy finish, and were able to get the win. They do have, they cannot qualify. They got a quali ban today, so they shouldn't be on track. Also, the 14 team, Blue Chew Black, it's said to have a quali ban, but Nate Krzelski is making laps right now, so that might be wrong, but we'll have to check. But either way, we're watching Alex Gall, 64 Satellite Racing Red, going through right now. They are the top of LMP2 Pro, but only by 12 points over Blue Chew Black. It's going to be a dogfight between those 2 teams, possibly.
You mentioned the 14, but the 64, Alex Gall, Gabriel Ruse, and Ayrton Williams on top of that LMP2 Pro standings category. Blue Chew Black, as you mentioned, Connor, right behind them, 12 points back. Here they are on track. Austin Young, Nate Krzelski behind the wheel of that number 14. They're going to go to the top of the board for now at a 126.596. In terms of our LMP2 Pro-Am category, that is Quality Control Racing's number 74. Andy Ticehurst behind the wheel right now, Tristan Terracciano in that car. In addition, they're currently 8th overall. You can see at the top of the board, the top half of the ticker, the blue is the LMP2 Am category, the black is the LMP2 Pro category, and you can see the leading drivers in the LMP2 Am is Quality Control Racing's number 79, which is 3rd in the standings behind Blue Chew Blue, which is that 24. In 6th overall. As far as the GT side of the house goes, GT Pro is led by the Composite Performance number 91. They had a phenomenal run at Daytona, but and they did come home as the winners there, beating Torque SimSport. That was up in the front. Torque SimSport is 2nd in the standings there and only about 8 points back. So they're leading in qualifying right now in GT Pro, Connor, but still lots to decide. And the McLaren might be a bit of a handful around here in particular.
Yeah, we've seen it in the past where you have some of these corners that have elevation changes in the middle of them. We've seen that McLaren really struggle with those. Specifically, I remember seeing it at Road Atlanta, but there's a few corners like that here as well. So really going to be looking at that McLaren, seeing if they can really get a handle on those corners, because that's where they're going to struggle with pace and just handling in general the most.
And the winning team from Daytona, the Apex Misters team, is not going to be able to qualify. Not sure if we mentioned that just yet. As far as GTT Pro-Am goes, it's twin turn sim racing that is at the top of the board in the points. Twin turn on the list right now. Yes, they are. Michael Marlowe's behind the wheel in 6th overall and currently about 3rd in class, following the 261 team. That is Quality Control Racing's 261, who are a little bit farther down the order, 20th in the standings. But Gowan Racing, the 208, that is currently not on track. They are the ones that are 2nd in the standings. Looking back to Daytona, it was the other Torque Sim Sport team, the 271, that went to victory lane there. They're currently 8th overall in the GT category.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot to happen at the beginning of this race. Drive-through penalties, obviously quali bans we're talking about. The 91 has the drive-through penalty, so he's someone who's going to have to pretty much forfeit where he qualifies immediately, and they're going to have a lot of work to do.
The qualifying is almost complete, about 3 minutes remaining here before we kick off 4 hours of action. It's going to be a long day here at Fuji. Pretty short laps as well, 1:26 for the LMP2s, which means, Connor, that it's going to be a pretty frantic 4 hours when you consider how many laps you're going to be doing in this race compared to Daytona, where we were in the mid 130s for lap time. So that'll be fun to watch all day long as well. But as we wait for more drivers and teams to come across the line, looks like Quality Control Racing's 74. They're trying to find a little bit more time here in the late stages of qualifying.
We'll see if they can find it, see what they're going to be doing around this track. Love seeing the speeds rise, especially at this track. It's obviously, you can see the speed at the end of the straightaway, but this is still a pretty fast circuit for what it is, but it does have those tight corners around the track, and this is what we're talking about. It seems very, very wide, almost seems wider than Circuit of the Americas, but it just does not race that way. You're going to be seeing these drivers packed right next to each other.
Yeah, it's just one of those places where you're carrying so much speed in many of the corners that the racing line itself is pretty narrow. And I mentioned the Circuit of the Americas